Just recorded a whole video and posted it and realized that I didn't have any fucking sound. So, sound should be good now, and I'm doing this again. So, let's do this. Let's review this. They have the top three teams as Vinny, Tony, and Brian. Uh, kind of agree with that. I agree with Brian and Tony. Not sure about Vinny, but a good win for him nonetheless. We'll see what I mean. Why I think it's Brian and Tony are the top two teams. But speaking of, let's go over Tony and I's matchup. Now, I don't have a terrible week, but the context makes it terrible. So it's James Robinson's first dud. He has one game against the stout Eagles defense that he doesn't do anything. I kind of understand. The big killer for me is Javonte Williams tearing his ACL and part of his butt cheek. Yep, out for the year. So the piece I trade Dalvin Cook, who's ironically on the opposing side this week. The team I trade Dalvin Cook to avoids Javonte Williams' injury by trading him to me. So it works. I still have Herbert, but it does take a big hit here. Rams defense, I saved you. I thought that you guys would be good. You've been good before, but I should have known. You guys suck against the 49ers, man. Always have, always will. So that's on me. Other than that, Tyreek Hill had a good game. Hollywood following up great. Saquon looks back. Justin Herbert looks great. So not an awful week. Losing with 107's kind of a rough pill to swallow, but we move. I still think we could bounce back from this. Next man up after Javonte goes down. We left points on the bench, but you'll see that Tony left huge points on the bench, so it really doesn't matter. That's why I never like looking at him. Tony's team, Josh Allen, Derrick Henry looks fucking insane. DK Metcalf looked good. Tyler Lockett, who I traded Tony, getting another decent performance out of him. I regret this trade. I still, I threw Tyler Lockett in just to be nice. And look at this guy, bro. Tyler Lockett actually has been good these last 2 weeks. He's been solid the last 3 weeks. Honestly, Tyler Lockett was a mistake drop by Mateo and a mistake trade by me. So kind of rough, but we move, we move. Um, no one on Tony's team put lower than 7.2. Dalvin Cook was honestly one of the weaker people uh, who had performances in week 4, but honestly, still an okay week. I'm pretty sure he had some fumbles to get this point. He would have had double digits besides that. Anyways, moving on. Good win for Tony. Rough loss for me, but I think we could build on it. Mateo, who I thought was done for after Thursday, where Tua situation unfolded for him, and Waddle had his repercussions from that situation. Those two getting combined like 7.5 points or whatever is kind of tough. So I thought it was done. But, J Jet, Clyde, Eagles defense, Olave, they all decided, actually, we want to put ourselves back in this matchup. And they bounced back in a big way. Young way, great. Mark Andrews having great weeks, then dud weeks. I didn't recall this happening so often. Like, this one's more of a dud, but yeah. Great game, dud. That's hey Ticey. Hi bud. Uh Finn's win mostly comes on the back of Josh Jacobs. Now Cooper Cup had a fantastic game. Travis Kelsey had a fantastic game, but those are, I'll say, a little bit expected. Those guys are great. Brandon Cooks had a bounce back after tough week 3, but Josh Jacobs carrying Matt Stafford's awful performance on his back with a huge day in Denver. So that's enough to get Finn the win. Moves to 3-1, so I think that still puts him on top of our division. Mark versus Phil. Phil's having a tough go around. Jonathan Taylor, another kind of shaky performance. He might be out in week 5 too. Who knows? We'll see how that plays out throughout the week. And an only okay Hurts performance. Like 15.96, not the end of the world, but God, man, you really need more from that. T. Higgins steps back up. Devonta Smith, after having to boom week, comes back to earth. Matt Collins in the flex has a mad day. Still can't get the right starts with Judy and Harris on the bench outperforming some of his players, but overall, still not terrible of a week. But we need Phil to get a win here soon. It's gonna start looking glim for him if he doesn't. Now, Mark's team looks really good here, but I still think this dude is a scumbag and a fraud. So, Russell Wilson bounces back heavily after having MVP aspirations going into the year. Has finally a great week against the Raiders. Seem a lot of people just have great weeks against the Raiders. Uh, Christian McCaffrey outperforms projections. Getting double digits is good for McCaffrey, but you want these 20-point games. So you love to see that. Brees Hall coming into his own. Debo being just as involved in the passing and rushing as he always is. Uh, Kirk getting 7.3 on just work is still even pretty good. Gerald Everett being involved in a very prolific Chargers passing game. Who knows if it maintains with Keenan Allen coming back soon, but in my opinion, I think it does. I think Herb is a big fan of tight ends. A lot of last year Donald Parr on tight ends, like some Jarrett Cook shouts last year. So, and Jeff Wilson getting his constant workload. Everyone else on Mark's team actually looks pretty fucking ass. And his best players, I'm gonna say he drafted Russ, Brees, and McCaffrey, but everyone else just robbed Josh for. We'll see how Josh paid for it in the coming weeks too. But good win for Mark. Hopefully Phil gets a win soon. This game ended up being really fucking close, and Vinny comes out with the win, which is the result I was not expecting. Um, let's talk about the good with Devin first. Kyler Murray on double XP weekend actually has a good fucking week. So, people, those doubters saying that Kyler can't get it done when Call of Duty has a promo, but look what's going on. Kyler getting it done. Jamal Williams in the spot start comes in huge. As long as Swift is out, I can see him being a mainstay. Gibson was 7.8. Nah, you want more from Chase here. 10.1. I hate to get mad at it, 10.1, but you draft Chase to be big. Pittman with a huge disappointing week, man. I don't know what to think of the Colts. I thought the Colts losing Wentz and getting Matt Ryan would be magnifique, but when I watch those guys, they look like diarrhea. The bigger issue is George Kittle. He had some draft capital behind him. I bet Devin drafted him and thinking he was good on tight end, but missing the first 2 weeks and then having two duds to start the season, like I don't know what to think with Kittle. I thought Jimmy G would have more of a workload for him too, but it's whatever. Greg Joseph comes up big to make it interesting, but Vinny gets a win in this matchup at the end of the day. Mike Evans with a big carry. CeeDee Lamb having another great week. Uh, Danny Carlson having a good week, but this is a perfect example of just everyone still putting in their own. Yes, Najee gets 7.4. You probably don't like that from your first round pick, but 7.4, getting a higher end single digits is still doable. 9.1 from Zeke, 9.4 from Godwin, 9.7 from Goddard, 8 from the Bills defense. So like these are still good numbers. So uh this is enough to get Vinny the win. And when you would think like a bad Lamar day, the running backs having kind of a woeful day, uh yes, he was carried by his receivers, but that's kind of it. And the kicker, but that's enough to score him 115, which is a decent score. So good win for Vinny. Tough loss for Devin. Both go to 2-2 in the division. Moving on. Now, I genuinely think Brian has the best team in the league. He's not been hurt by injuries to start. He's actually been benefiting for some injuries. Um, Burrow has a great week. Austin Eckler, who I've been saying has been looking a little lackluster, had a fucking bananas game. So that's great sight if you're Brian. Nick Chubb just doing what Nick Chubb does. Great work. Now we look at Amari Cooper. You're gonna get these games. I think you have blow up or dud, blow up, dud. Yep. So Amari Cooper, you're gonna have these games. Pat Fryermuth in the tight end position. Great, great performance from the tight end position. Khalil Herbert and look at that Niners defense against the Rams. The Rams just looked bad. They always do against the Niners. So he starts Cooper, but look, he just had Mike Willen on the bench. He started Herbert, but I mean, look, he had Miles Sanders on the bench. I think Brian is going to be a fucking problem. Hopefully, we get some people to keep beating him, but who knows? Greg is just having a rough go of it, and it seems to be the receivers again. The other weeks used to be like, the running backs aren't kind of holding their own, but this week they kind of held their own. Patrick Mahomes gets 23. That's all you can ask from Patty. And you get DJ Moore with the 9.1. Not great. Not bad. Duds from Claypool. Duds from Waller. And Ramondre, Cowboys defense does well enough, but yeah, it's mostly the wide receiver position, man. Because his wide receiver room is DJ Moore, Claypool, Mooney, and Elijah Moore. It's not great. So tough loss for Greg. Hopefully he could bounce back. Big win for Brian, looking like a threat. This matchup between Austin and Josh. Austin gets a win here, and I'm gonna be honest, it's mostly on the back of Damian Pierce and Rashad Penny. We have good performance from Cortland Sutton, and like I said, the decent performances from AJ Dillon and Diggs. Conklin with an performance. Derek Carr with kind of a poopy performance from the quarterback position. Tough one from Eddie Pinheiro, but somehow this gets him a 30-point win. How, you may ask? Because Josh forgets to take out Kamara. Josh trades for Kyle Pitts. He trades for James Conner, who's been underachieving for the running back position. And Cordell Patterson gets a touchdown, but then he's out for the game, goes to the IR. A good benefit, though, with my Javonte Williams out, he does have Melvin Gordon, who could come in at the running back position. That is a guy who could do something. But other than that, man, Josh still can't score over 85 points. So I definitely rate Josh last in team rankings out of everyone because I'd even take Phil's winless team over this squad here. I may be talking shit, but that's what I'm here to do. So yeah, good win for Austin. Tough matchup here for Josh. We'll see if he bounce back. And let's get a little preview of our week 5 matchups. It's gonna be Finn and I. Finn, the leader of our division so far. Mark and Mark and Mateo, 2-2 people in our division, pretty big, and hopefully, uh, hopefully Phil could get his first win against Tony. I would love nothing more. Vinny going against Greg, Josh going against Devin, and Austin going against Brian. 2, 3, and 1 teams. This is going to be a big matchup here. Actually, they're all going to be pretty big matchups because it's still early on. This is how the table looks with everything going on now, incorporating all the wins. Uh, yeah. All right, that's all I have for you, boys. I recorded a whole video before this, so this was the second go of it. And I'll see y'all next week. All right, peace.